Welcome, Dean Thomas, to the Brock Morrison, the Short Round podcast. I hope you're having a wonderful morning.
My man, how are you? I'm glad we got a chance to do this.
Yes, I really am. I've been trying to get you on for a little bit, but I know that you're a busy man, and that's 100% fine with me.
Well, you know, it's good to be busy, right? So
Yep.
I embrace the activity. I embrace every opportunity I get, and I'm thankful for it. So the fact that I can be too busy to do things is bad, but for me, ultimately, it's good.
No, 100%. It's like me. Anybody that takes time out of their day, to come on my podcast and, talk. It's not like I got millions and millions of views or listeners, but I still like to stay busy, and I like martial arts, and I love talking to martial artists. So it works out.
Listen, that's what it's all about. I don't do anything for, necessarily to get like all this money or all these followers. I do things because like that's what it's supposed to be done that way. Yeah. And I did a seminar in Boston on Saturday, and I don't normally do seminars, but I did one on Saturday, and it was a lot of beginners there, and they were nervous about it because I've been doing this a long time. I coach like high level people, and they were like, "Man, I don't know if the beginners should do it." And for me, and I didn't know this until afterwards, but I give them the same amount, if not more, love and attention than I would anybody else, because of the money, but because it's the right thing to do. And I don't do anything for money. I always give everybody the same level of respect and treatment that I would anybody else, regardless of money.
Very true. And it's like one of those things, it's something that you like doing, and as a martial artist, it doesn't matter if you're a beginner or high level, right? It's your job really as a martial artist to pass down your knowledge.
Mm-hmm. I always tell people, man, I'm like, I don't want to die with this.
Exactly.
And I'm getting older, man. My clock is ticking.
Well, hey, like I said, we're both the same age. And we're both grew up in the same town in Port St. Lucie, Florida. So, hey,
life expectancy is pretty low.
It is. I can sit there and say that, but I moved out of there in 2004. I moved out, and it was probably a good thing. I had my little run-ins there. Done a little time in Florida.
Okay.
So,
Rock Road.
Rock Road, exactly. Bobby knows.
I always tell people, if you're from St. Lucie County and you ain't never been to Rock Road, you ain't really from St. Lucie County.
Yeah, I've done a few nights in Rock Road until I went up to upstate. I went to Martin County Prison for a little bit, and I was up in Daytona, part of at a correctional there. I done my time.
You got your street cred.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I give you that.
Then I went to the Fort Pierce work release.
I love it, man. We got that connection. I love it.
That's it. Hey, and I tell you what, we also have another connection. Didn't you train out the Dragon's Den in the very beginning?
Dragon's Karate? Yeah.
Yes. They're on Port St. Lucie and Arosa Boulevard, right there in the shopping center, right? Well, I'm going to let you know this. I'm going to let you know this, Dean. I trained there for 2 weeks also, and I remember you choking me out probably about 20 times. You never said anything in between. You would just we'd get back up in positions, and you would choke me out, put me in an arm lock or something. You would not say anything else. You was busy. So yeah,
I had no idea, man. I had no idea, but yeah, I remember going. I went there for about a year or two, and I was so excited because that's why I feel like I was destined to do this.
Yeah. Because what was the owner of that name? What was the owner of the gym? John? What's his name?
Victor Diodato.
Yeah, because it was a shoot fighter gym, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yep.
And for me, I was like prior to that, I was traveling around going to all these seminars. And then when I saw that they had a shoot fighting school, I mean, it was literally a quarter mile from where I lived, my mother's house. And And I would walk there. I could walk there. And I was like, how is it that I'm trying to learn how to do this stuff, and then a quarter mile from where I live, they're doing it? Oh, yep. I'm destined for this. This is what God put me on this earth to do.
All right. Now, before we get started in this, this is how my podcast works. It's the same 3 questions no matter who you are. I've had Ray Sofa on here, the owner of the PFL, John Heckelman, Jeff Speakman. It's always the same 3 questions. How and why you got into martial arts? What's martial arts doing in your life right now? And what's your plans for the martial arts in the future? So let's get on with number 1. How and why did you get into martial arts?
All right, I got into martial arts because growing up, I was always small. And when you're smaller and you see a lot of other, and I was small and shy and quiet, very intimidated by other people. And when you grow up that way, you start to question your own manhood. Like, whether you want to admit it or not, you almost think like, man, this guy could just, like, if somebody wanted to take my lunch money, they could just take it. And I knew I had to do something about that. And this was even before I knew anything about martial arts. I was just like, man, I'm small. And I remember trying out for football. I tried out for the Port St. Lucie high school team every year. And then I get out there, and I was a pretty good player. And but I was intimidated by the other players on the team. They were bigger than me, and they were, loud and brash. And so I was always intimidated. Then when I saw the UFC, my sister showed me this videotape of UFC 2, and Hoist Gracie arm locked Jason DeLucia. And then, and then he went on to win the tournament. And I was like, oh my God, I got to learn how to do this stuff. Like, this is amazing. And from that moment on, I was like, it really was about self-defense and not letting someone be able to bully me. Like, the worst thing in life is a bully, or someone who just tries to impose their will on someone else. And I never want that from me or anybody around me. So even to this day, the way I approach martial arts in terms of, even from a sport perspective, still goes back to, you're not going to let anybody bully you. Like, I can't promise you that, like, you might not win the fight, but they're not going to bully you. And it's not going to be, they're not going to just have their way with you. And that's the way I approach martial arts. No one is going to have their way with me. And I don't even train right now, but I train enough to where I'm walking down the street, no one's going to have their way with me.
No, and I understand that. I mean, that's even why I even do martial arts now. I mean, I've been around it probably since, 90s. Matter of fact, really since the first UFC came out, I've been going around different dojos or, hanging out with different martial artists and things. But when I actually started getting into martial arts myself was just a few years ago. Okay. And probably about 6 years ago. And it was for health reasons. But then I was sitting there thinking, I was almost 700 pounds because I broke my neck. And I went paralyzed from the neck down, and then I had to learn how to redo everything, right? But not being able to move or stand for a long period, 6-7 feet standing, 3 minutes was my max, right? So no matter what I ate, no matter what diet I was on, I was still getting bigger and bigger. So I was about ready to die. Me and my wife, we was newly married, like 6 years. We just had a baby, and we was at the doctor's office. She was holding our baby, and baby's like 4 months old. The doctor didn't even look at me, looked right at those two and said, he's going to die in 6 months.
Damn.
So I said, you know what? I needed to get some low impact exercise and be able to rebuild myself. So I went into karate, doing the forms and doing the katas and stuff like that, really rebuilt me. Now I've lost weight. I'm down to 440, which is really good.
Awesome, man.
I lost a heavyweight.
Hey, listen, man, congratulations, man.
Thank
you.
I really do appreciate
that is an amazing accomplishment. And I'm sure that gives you even more confidence to continue your journey, man. That's amazing.
And that's what I'm doing. And then, I left karate, went into Muay Thai, like that. Done that for a few years. Really love it. Still do it now. But now I'm more into Filipino stick fighting.
Yeah.
But the reason why I done that is because I was sitting there thinking, when I was that big, would I be able to really, I know how to fight and I know how to handle myself. But then at that point in time, would I be able to protect my family if I needed to? Mm-hmm. So that's what really got me into the whole self-defense aspect of it. So, not letting somebody bully you or let somebody harm your family is really the reason why I'm into martial arts now.
Yeah, hell yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'll let you get a hell out there, Dean.
All right, good. All right. I knew it wasn't that bad.
So now you got into martial arts. Your sister showed you the second UFC. My introduced to the UFC was the very first one. There was a kid that went to the Taekwondo Academy over there, and he brought it into school. The teacher let us watch it in class. I went to Fort Pierce Central. Yeah, I went to Fort Pierce Central. So, yeah. And that's when I was like really hooked on the whole martial art thing. So that's when you started your journey into martial arts more, likely, right?
Yeah. I mean, that was what it was. And then from that moment, I would get the black belt magazines and I would look for seminars. And my very first seminar I went to was a Hickson Gracie seminar in Charlotte, North Carolina. And what years did you go to Central?
91 to 94, something like that, right around there.
Okay.
Yeah, I was kicked out of there. I was kicked out of all Martin County schools.
Yeah, and the reason why I bring that up is because the very first seminar I went to, I drove up there with a buddy of mine who recently passed away, Jamie Swellen, and he played quarterback for Central for a little bit, but I think it was a little bit after that. Yeah. But yeah, so I went to Charlotte, North Carolina. I did a 2-day seminar with Hickson Gracie, and then I did seminars with Half Gracie, Hoist Gracie, Marco Huas, and the Valente brother. Like I went everywhere to try to learn.
Marco Huas. Man, yeah. Marco Hula, what a name that was, and what a impact he had in the sport, right?
Well, he was the first Brazilian guy that really showed that they could fight on their feet.
The Vale Tudo style, really.
Yeah. And he was the one who actually, I don't know if you're familiar with Paul Rodriguez, but he's from Port St. Lucie as well, and he runs American Top Team in Orlando.
Oh,
and
really?
He's pretty much responsible for all the guys at Fusion MMA where Phil Rowe and all those guys train, because his black belt is the coach there. So like Paul Rodriguez is a long time old school MMA guy in Orlando, but he's from Port St. Lucie and we came up together. But it was the Marco Huas videos that got Paul interested in it. And it was because I was trying to show him jiu-jitsu and Hoist Gracie, and he was like, man, I'm not into that. But when I showed him Marco Huas and he was like kicking people and punching people, he was like, okay, I'm into that. And then, this is back in 95. So now moving forward, we're still involved and we're still in it. And man, it's a blessing.
Yeah, but the thing is, I mean, if you're going to, what'd you say, North Carolina and things like that for seminars, I mean, you was really said, well, I'm all in and I'm invested in that.
Yeah, but the funny thing is I think that's what made me successful, because at that time there were no opportunities for fighting for lightweights. There was no money. There was no Conor McGregor. There was no ESPN deal. It was, learn how to fight, wear a cool t-shirt, that's all it really was. So for me, it was just about learning how to defend myself. And I was passionate about that. I never lost that passion either. But the sport in itself, I certainly at times have lost passion for the sport, because the sport in itself is it's just such a cutthroat sport, and anybody gets involved, and it's easy to swindle people in this game because you're dealing with a lot of, people without other options. So they get into fighting, and it's pretty cutthroat at times, but my passion for the martial arts has never wilted.
Now, let me ask you a question. How did your parents feel about you getting into the, especially this? It was new, remember back then it was all, it's you and cockfighting.